Welcome back, everybody, to the Meeple Marathon. Today we are going to be taking a look back at Kingdom Rush Elemental Rising. There is a little less than 10 days to go in this campaign. And while we are on the subject of crowd-funded games, I wanted to take a look at some of the other games that have piqued my interest that are either going to be ending in the month of March or have just started and will be running through the month of March. So if you follow my channel and you tend to like the games that I play and post on my channel, then you might find these games interesting as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at Kingdom Rush here. This is again on Gamefound. This is not on Kickstarter, so it's going to take a little while for me to get used to not saying, oh, go, Kingdom Rush Elemental Rising on Kickstarter, or the, Kickstarter version of the game or whatever. So, but just keep that in mind. This is on Gamefound, which is Awaken Realms' Kickstarter breaking website of their own. So, we are well into a lot of the stretch goals. We're almost at $500,000. Not much has changed up here at the top. Mainly just what I wanted to show off was what has truly been unlocked. They haven't covered a whole lot of new gameplay elements. They did have an entire update on the stickers, and I think I covered this in the last video, that they're not really stickers. They don't have adhesive. They have microsuction technology. But there seems to be a lot of new and innovative stuff that they're adding to the Horde cards. The mini bosses is a new thing, these shields and things like that. Certainly new towers, all new game pieces, so you will be able to play this completely separately of the base game or intermix them. You can probably get away with playing with just one set of little polyominoes, but I'm not 100% sure. Here's just a look at the stickers again. And again, this iteration of it introduces gold and gems. Gold for adding these upgrade stickers, tower modification stickers, and gems for purchasing the towers. Now, in my opinion, I still don't understand why they are not just making everything gold. So, as I promised, very soon on the channel, I will be introducing the Spider Goddess expansion from the original Kickstarter. And I'm going to play through a game of that using the standard rules, just so everybody can see what that expansion might have to offer if you were wanting to add it to a pledge here on Gamefound. But I'm also going to then, in a second video, play through the same exact scenario, but I'm going to play it with my rules. And these are just very simple modifications that I have made to the game to make it feel more like the app and how the app works. So keep an eye out for that if you are interested in seeing kind of a variant of the game come up with by me, and I don't think I'm the only person who will have thought of it like this. So one thing that is new, at least I hadn't noticed before, is that they are including a custom solo mode. Now, they included a solo mode in the first game. I don't know. I'll be interested to see if this one is changed in any way. So we'll see. The other one was okay. It really didn't feel that like they put that much effort into it, to be honest with you. So all right, now that we are finally getting down here, here's two of the two add-ons. I'm assuming this is where they're going to stop. Maybe they'll have a third, but they had two add-ons in the first one. This one, the gnomish nonsense, looks like a lot of fun. This guy just looks like a really fun miniature to have in your repertoire. This one also, the villain in this one, the monster in this one, looks pretty incredible. Again, here is the kind of King's Pledge add-on box, and I was actually setting up the game last night, and I had the Spider Goddess expansion box out and was pulling stuff from that out, and then I had to pull some stuff out from the main box, and I realized I had to take all of these individual little all of the hero trays and pull them off the top because that's the only place for them to be, and I had to get them out of the way. And it was kind of obnoxious that I had to find some place to put them and just stack them up off to the side just to get them out of the way so I could get to everything underneath. So what they are basically saying here is that they are creating a chest for this one that you can add, similar to the base game chest. It looks exactly the same. It'll fit everything, including the More Than Shadows box. What I don't know is if you order this, is it all just going to come packaged in this, which would be nice, or are you going to get both boxes and a giant battle chest? You know, is your box going to be huge? Anyways, again, very interesting questions. So let's look down here at some of the stuff that has been unlocked. If I can get through all of the add-on content, all of what they're asking you for money. All right, here we go. So we added the entire Phoenix hero. So this is a hero with its own player board, spells, a few horde cards that come with it, hero tray, and specific scenarios, which this is going to be in the expansion box. And they didn't do that for the base game. The heroes that they put into the expansion box, their scenarios were just part of the Spider Goddess expansion. This one seems to have its own scenarios, so that might be cool. And then they added a few more elements, some more blossoms. The blossoms seem to be the thing in this game, along with a new mini-boss, which I think will be cool because you'll probably see the mini-bosses more often, but also it's just more variety in those more unique style of creatures you need to fight, not just the horde cards. So then we have, and the mini boss is going to be in the base game. So here we have Umbra, who was obviously going to be in the Lurking in the Shadows box because he's featured on the cover, but here's all of his stuff. He also comes with his own little minions, which are going to be very similar to the militia meeples. So it'll be interesting to see how those get used. And then we have, again, more blossoms, frost blossom, stone blossom, a new mini boss, and the spot UV upgrades. This now is what we are working on. I think this is going to be a really cool miniature. This guy just looks huge. I don't see how, in compared to the other ones, he's not going to stand like twice as tall as the other hero miniatures. I know the heroes aren't quite as big, but this guy looks pretty epic in scale. So that's what they're currently working on now, is a whole new, to go along with the Phoenix, that second hero to go in that expansion box. And then I'm assuming they'll probably work on a second boss monster. But that's where we're at. Again, there is about 9 days to go. There's a lot of content in this setup. But I think the most important thing is that they have adjusted the gameplay a little bit. I don't know if it's 100% in the right direction, but also, once it's in your hands, it's your game. So there is no rule that says you can't play whatever variant mode you want and house rule whatever you want. So check out my video that's going to be upcoming within the next 9 days, because I want to get it out before this campaign ends. Just to show you what you can do with the game, because I feel like it has a lot of potential. It is there. It is obviously an amazing representation of the app, if you're a fan of the app. So keep an eye out for that. So I have already talked at length about Kingdom Rush Elemental Rising in other videos. Again, that's got about 9 days to go. I want to talk about some games on Kickstarter now that I have backed at various levels. The first one, and I'm going to work through these in order of how quickly they are ending. So this one's also got 9 days remaining, and that's the Paladins of the West Kingdom expansion. So they have the Age of Artisans, that was the expansion for Architects, and so now this is the expansion for Paladins, and then I'm assuming there'll be an expansion for Viscounts. And what this does really is just add a whole bunch of mechanisms to the game. And I actually haven't played Paladins. This is the key. But I have played Architects and I've played Viscounts. And I am really enjoying those games. Keep an eye out for my Viscounts videos, playing solo. coming very soon. And then shortly after that, we will be covering Architects on the channel. But Paladins, I heard, was definitely more of a thinky game. It was a deeper game, more challenging. But I've heard a lot of people say this is their favorite of the trilogy. So I thought, you know what? I've gotten Tome Saga now. I've got 2 out of the 3. I probably should, go ahead and wrap my head around the third one. So Paladins is coming. At the moment, I have only backed this at the expansion box and the collector's box because you know me, I am really big into storage and getting it all into one box. And supposedly the collector's box here is the only way to get it all into one box. Supposedly even getting the base game and just what came with the base game into that box is pretty difficult. But obviously they had to have done it somehow because it all fits in there when you buy it off the shelf. But here is a look at what the, and unfortunately I can't blow these up and make them any bigger, but here's a look at what the collector's box looks like. Now I'm a little wary about how everything is just dumped in there. There is no cover for these. There's no specific holder for these. So I am going to be doing more research on this. And more than likely, I'll probably get it and just figure out a way to store these in there. But I'll definitely be doing my research on that. But what I did want to just go ahead and secure is the City of Crowns expansion, along with probably I will wait and just purchase my version of Paladins from this Kickstarter. So you can see here that you can get the whole trilogy, everything that has come out for it. It's going to cost you, $236 US. But what I'd really like to have is just a set of metal coins to use across all of my games. And probably the base game here, it's 20% off MSRP. I'll check and see, how much is it worth it for me to get the few extra cards that come in the Kickstarter version. But anyways, I wanted to point this out just because I have really been enjoying Shem Phillips' games in general. I've been playing Raiders of the North Sea on iOS, and that's a nice little worker placement. But playing the physical versions of Architects and Viscounts has been a really nice experience, and I have not even yet gotten to Tome Saga, which is just a different way to play solo. So there's multiple ways to play solo. There's the in the base game solo, and then Tome Saga, which gives you this additional villain to go up against in all 3 games. So wanted to point this out because it is ending soon. Again, for the most part, generally the game that they back on Kickstarter is what you're going to see in retail, except for it's harder to find the metal coins, and there usually are a few additional promo cards. So this one may be worth it to wait on, honestly. If you just buy the expansion on Kickstarter, it's about $28 US plus shipping. Now, that's about what Age of Artisans is running on Amazon. So you'd be saving on shipping, but you also are going to wait. So I may change my pledge. We'll see. I'm in there right now for, again, the actual expansion and the collector's box. This isn't going to be the only way or the easiest way you can get your hands on the collector's box. This one probably won't be for sale on Amazon, but they'll probably have some in their store. Again, I haven't really looked into this as much simply because I don't know how to play Paladins. So it's kind of a leap that I'm jumping on this a Kickstarter, and that may change. Next is a game I am definitely very excited about, and that is Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. I really liked Terraforming Mars. I liked the engine building aspect of it. I played it a ton. It just happened to be a game that, I felt like I didn't need anymore. I sold it or traded it. I can't remember which one, but I got good value for it, so I let it go out of my collection, and I've kind of always regretted it. But Ares Expedition here is essentially Terraforming Mars shrunken down into more of a card game as opposed to a large-scale board game, and really just ramped up the speed of the game and how easy it is to get it to the table. So this is a no-brainer back for me. So let's take a look at Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition. So essentially you have these phases that you have to take, and you're only going to be taking one phase per round. And what's interesting when you're playing, if you're playing, say, a 2-player game, you want to be picking something different than your other person, but also when you pick a phase, you can't use the same phase the next round, so you have to pick a different phase. But whatever phase you pick, everybody at the table gets the top action ability, and then you get the bonus action ability at the bottom. And this is I believe it's kind of a cooperative, and can be semi-cooperative. Essentially, you're all still trying to do the same thing, terraform Mars. Flip over the ocean tiles, and you want to get the oceans out, you want to heat up the planet, and you want to get the oxygen level up. So it's all the same goals as terraforming Mars. But you have these, various cards in your hand that are going to feel very similar to the iconography is going to be all the same. So if you're familiar with that iconography, and you're basically going to be building your engine, except basically all they did was really reduce it down into a small board and almost all cards, which I guess now that I think about it is what Terraforming Mars really was. But this one feels tighter, it feels smaller, less of a footprint. And what's really nice about this is, co-op mode, solo mode, where is it? Yes, dual layer player boards. So this is something, honestly, that they should have come out with at the very beginning for Terraforming Mars, and they didn't, and it was so hard to keep everybody's cubes in place, and a lot of people made a lot of money on Etsy by creating special boards for Terraforming Mars, but they're doing it right off the bat. I don't know if this is going to be a Kickstarter exclusive. If it turns out to be, I would definitely jump on that. It doesn't look like it is. Usually they have that tag there, but the dual layer player boards are a must. And then pretty much it's a bunch of cards and a few tiles, and they're giving you nice trays. I'm hoping there's going to be covers on here. I honestly don't mind the plastic cubes. I think they're well colored. But you can upgrade. Here's a look at, just some of the project cards that you can come back and check out. Some of the corporations. Where are all the... Okay, so basically they're doing a daily upgrade, so it doesn't really matter how much money goes into it. They're going to give you a new card, and it's basically the standard stuff. They're just adding cards in here. The unlocks here are not super exciting. Okay, I believe here are the add-ons. No, okay, finally, add-ons. So card sleeves, which is going to be interesting. I'm going to have to look into more how much are you really shuffling the deck. If you shuffle a deck, I tend to like to put card sleeves on. $30 though for 300 sleeves is a little pricey. You could probably get that for half that, easily $20, but they're just going to be plain. So maybe you really want the custom sleeves. The metal resource cubes, again, I'm not that big on the metal resource cubes. I'm okay with the plastic ones because they're colored. But some people really like the metal. The neoprene mat, I think, looks really nice, especially since you're going to be building out this stuff all in front of you. I always felt like I needed a better place to, hold my cards and keep them organized when I was playing Terraforming Mars. So I'll probably, get the neoprene mat, the double. And if I play with 4 people, I'll just be like, okay, nobody gets a mat. But more than likely, I'll either be playing this solo or with my brother-in-law. So 2 will probably be enough. And then they cover shipping and taxes here. So again, if you are a Terraforming Mars fan, or if you are an engine building fan, or really just looking for a unique game that is pretty much just a card game, I would definitely check this out. There's lots of videos, but Terraforming Mars is a proven proven hit game. So obviously these guys know what they're doing, and so I have no reservations about this one at all. So this is a definite back for me. All right, next up on the list is one that I'm on the fence about, and that is Zombicide, Undead or Alive. Now, I love Zombicide, first of all. And my favorite version of Zombicide was Black Plague. I enjoyed the original Zombicide, but I didn't, the theme really wasn't there. It was a fun game, but it wasn't until Black Plague and Green Horde came out that I actually invested in the game. And I liked that theme a lot more. And I invested in that game and thought, okay, this is my copy of Zombicide. I'm fine with this. When Invader came out, the space theme just didn't do it for me as much. I liked the fantasy theme more, and so I was like, okay, I'm fine passing on Invader. This is my Zombicide. This is my collection of Zombicide here. And then they came out with Zombicide 2.0. It was a military theme, which I grew up in a military family, so I appreciated the military theme, but also a lot of stuff in the 2.0. The rules changes and the campaign being added really spoke to me, and so I thought, okay, this feels different enough. Let's back it. I can have two versions of Zombicide. I talked myself into it, and what really bothers me about this right here and why I'm on the fence about it is that I haven't even been delivered my Zombicide 2.0 yet. I know it's coming very soon, but they're already asking for more money from me for this new version of Zombicide, which I won't see in a year and a half. But just like every other Zombicide game, I see miniatures I want to paint. I see, new things added to the game that I want to check out. And so I'm really kind of torn. And I don't need 3 copies of Zombicide, 3 versions of Zombicide. Is Black Plague really, and Green Horde, really worth it for me to hold on to forever? Is that theme so much better for me? And what I am really on the fence about is, should I just hold on to that collection, and again, that and 2.0 are just my Zombicide, and then I'm just kind of done with Zombicide? Or do I enter this cycle of get the Kickstarter in, paint it up, play it, and then when they announce another one, get ready to sell and use that money to pay for the newest Kickstarter? That way I'm not just A, collecting a bunch of boxes I can't store anywhere, B, dumping a ton of money into CMON, which I already do anyways. So that's why I'm on the fence. And right now you can see here I am a $1 backer because I wanted to be able to see the updates as they came in, all the unlocks they're having. And let me show you what I think is fun about the Zombicide Dead or Alive game. So that's kind of different from others. So otherwise, this is a Zombicide game. Nothing has really changed. And the price level is still the same. But again, you always get a ton of content once, Zombicide 2.0 makes it in. My pledge arrives. I'll obviously be unboxing that on the channel so you can see how much content that came with. But what they have added here, so you can see this is all the stretch goals. This is just the stretch goals. This is what comes in, everything that comes in the main box. I mean, normally you play 6 survivors per game no matter what, and I believe there's 12 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 maybe? Okay, yeah, 14 survivors. So there's more than enough to play a different set of survivors, through 2 campaigns. Tons of zombies. I mean, this is going to be a huge box already. And then they have this add-on. This is an add-on, the Steampunk add-on, but it adds 10 more survivors, so you're up to 24 now. That's 3 different campaigns worth, and a new abomination. But this one also adds the story element, the campaign element that they introduced in Zombicide 2.0, which I do appreciate. And then here's all the stretch goal heroes that they've unlocked. So, and again, they are highlighting famous, Western legends, but also famous Western characters from movies. There's like the Mel Gibson character in here from Maverick, and I can't remember them all now, but if you go through and read the updates and see the little bios, they'll make sense. Here's John Wayne, pretty sure Doc Holliday, and again, I do like Tombstone is my all-time favorite Western movie. With Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, and Wyatt Earp's in here somewhere, I know, Sheriff Earp. So this theme does kind of speak to me, certainly more than the space theme does. And then here are what they have added monsters-wise, abominations, and a couple walkers. Mariachi, I haven't seen that guy yet. So what they've created are these unique classes that have unique abilities. They've added a train, balconies that you can hop up on and improve your line of sight, and a Gatling gun, and dynamite. So here you can see, basically you have the gunslingers. They've got, obviously the ranged weapons. The brawlers do better in melee combat. You have the townsfolk who, basically, if you're like shooting into a space that has another survivor, you're not going to damage them. They have, I guess, the best aim. I don't really know. And then the faithful, who have this holy water, which can kind of freeze zombies in their tracks, or I think even maybe sometimes repel them with this holy water. Purge cemetery and corpses, pile spawn zones. So just they've added these unique classes. So gunslingers, brawlers, townsfolk, and faithful. All these zombies. The Gatling gun miniature, which is cool. Wooden dice, which I really love my dice in Wingspan, which are wooden. So I'm actually kind of excited about these dice. And then everything else is the same. And then they have this train board, which are like these 3 skinnier tiles that when you first set up most of the scenarios, they're all going to be flipped to the train track side. And what's fun is that there's a time marker that you're going to move along. And at a certain round of the game, the train's going to come in to the station. And it's going to come in at the one side of the scenario, and it's going to plow over every zombie. So if you can time it right and kind of trap the zombies onto the tracks, they get plowed over by the train and taken out. And then the train continues to move and then pull out of the station. And in a lot of the scenarios, you have to get on that train in order to escape. So you can't just be anywhere in the scenario, but also it's moving. So some people could get on the front of the train and be out 2 rounds early and this and that and so on and so forth. So that is just an interesting mechanic. That's a gotcha for me mechanic that they've added to this game, which is not in any of the other games. So, and then this steampunk add-on version, they've got inventions and an even new class, the engineer class. So here's everything that comes in that. So again, there's just, even unique dice. So this is the first time will there be 2 different types of dice in the Zombicide game. Normally you just have the standard dice. Whereas here's the add-ons. So again, more walkers. These are like super dead ones that are basically just skeletons. I really like these dice because they made it not all red. It's black and red based on the actual suit of the cards. Anyways, I'm sure there'll probably be at least one more add-on pack like the Long Dead Walkers. So again, you could easily dump, well over $300 into this game. And again, I'm on the fence, or I'm on it for $1. I can live with $1, contribute to CMON for $1. That's less than a cup of coffee at McDonald's. But that way, when the Pledge Manager comes out, which is going to be months from now, and then will be open for several months, I have time to determine whether A, do I really want this version of Zombicide? B, am I going to sell my Black Horde or Black Plague and Green Horde versions to pay for it, which is probably what will have to happen if I do go all in on this. So, but yeah, again, just another Zombicide, but it's hard to pass up these games. This is a pure dice chucking game. I highlighted, I think it was Green Horde, or technically I highlighted the Wolfsburg expansion for Black Plague back around Halloween. And this is just a fun game. It's so easy to teach and pick up for people to pick up. And if they can get past the theme of zombies, which can be a little gross and thinking about chopping off their heads, then it's just a fun game. It really works. So anyways, the last one that I want to highlight actually just launched today. I had every intention to keep this video in under 30 minutes, and so we'll go for under 35. But this is Tiny Epic Dungeons, which you can see here is flying up to $500,000 already on the very first day. And this is the first Tiny Epic game to feature miniatures, actual, plastic miniatures, which is really cool. And one thing that I thought was very interesting is that right here, they tell you that the box is going to be 7 by 4.75, which is the standard size box for the Tiny Epic games, which I really appreciate. I'm wondering if it's going to be a little thicker. I'm kind of peeking over at my shelf right now, and the 3 Tiny Epic games that I have in my collection, that I've kept in my collection, are exactly the same size, and I really like that they stack just so nicely on the shelf. So I'm wondering if they're going to have to make it a little thicker to fit the miniatures in, but for now, at least, it's still going to be a Tiny Epic game. They're not like cheating on the size. They're sticking with that standard box size, which was like one of the first things I noticed. But anyways, I recently played through, and will be featuring on the channel very soon, was Tiny Epic Tactics. Now that was meant to be a multiplayer game, tactical combat, things like that, with unique player powers and area control and things like that. And I think that it probably works really well for that. However, I play a majority of my games solo, and the solo version was kind of this mix between tactical combat and dungeon crawling. They actually made really good use of the boxes, which created the 3D terrain for that game. You'd flip them over, and you'd work around inside the box to kind of crawl through a dungeon. You can get my full review on that very soon when I post that onto the channel, but it just didn't quite do it for me as far as the experience I was wanting. This, however, looks like what I wanted Tactics to be. This is just a pure dungeon crawler with miniatures. I don't even need the miniatures, but I think it's a cool touch. 28mm scale is kind of a standard. That's, Zombicide size miniatures, and what's in Gloomhaven, and all the miniature sizes that you're used to are 28mm. So again, I'm really interested to see how they're going to fit all of this into a small little box. But here you can see just kind of a grand overview of what the game is. There are all these square dungeon tile cards, which are going to have various iconography on them. But then you can add to your characters with weapons and upgrades and armor and things like that. But the dungeon is going to be randomly generated, so it's always going to feel different. And then you have these epic boss battles in the second act of the game. So here you can see kind of that iconography, which I think is perfectly fine and really nice, that I don't have to look at a scenario set up all the dungeon tiles and then put out all the little tokens onto them. That I'm just going to go here and flip over, and the minion's just on the card. It's just very simple. I love dungeon crawlers, and I love Tiny Epic games, and I used to, up to this point, I'm still going to say that Tiny Epic Quest, which is like this Zelda-esque version of Tiny Epic, has been my favorite and still is. But this one could take the cake. We'll have to see. But like you said, modular dungeon, unique with each play. Then there are these epic boss battles where each person's going to be coming in, hitting in a certain area, taking on a certain pinpoint of the giant dragon, things like that, which I think is cool. And I thought this was really cool that they have this armor and battle gear sets for specific tribes. So what you're seeing here, zoom in and out, is the bear tribe. So if you get all of the gear for the bear, great axe of the bear, throwing axes of the bear, studded jerkin of the bear, and war horn of the bear, he then just becomes all that much better. Very similar to Kingdom Death Monster, which I don't have, but if you care to watch a excellent campaign playthrough of it, check out Meet Me at the Table. He has been playing through Kingdom Death Monster for well over a year now, and just every now and then puts out a video. But anyways, the armor in that, if you get the full set, you boost your character, which is kind of cool. And so then there's the deluxe content. Again, I don't generally find the deluxe edition stuff to be that great. But what's really nice about here is 2 new bosses. I think this almost makes it worth it, because I think the bosses are going to be what makes each different playthrough unique. More minion cards, more dungeon tiles and things like that. But then there is this add-on, which is going to be a add-on box, and it's called Dungeon Stories. So they've taken this, they've added 6 more heroes, so even more miniatures to choose from, and these story cards, which are going to make it more of a little mini campaign. And again, I always appreciate a good campaign, but I also appreciate the fact that if this is going to be a quick to play or easy to set up and break down and get through it quickly, I don't like the campaigns that take forever. I like getting through a campaign in like 10 to 15 hours is ideal for me. And then I can just play through another campaign. So I will probably be getting Dungeon Stories simply because of the story cards. But again, this adds a little bit more of everything. 2 more bosses again. Tokens, things like that. Here's a look at some of those miniatures, like the panda drinking the beer is just a really cool miniature to have in your collection. All these other guys are pretty standard. The monk, the bard, the mage. But here you can see they're showing you that they're all going to stack nicely together on the shelf. And this is a lesson they learned in Tiny Epic Pirates, because at first they were going to say, all right, the expansion box is going to be a different size. And everybody cried foul. And they're like, wait a minute, you guys have made a living on making all your boxes the same size. So again, very curious to see how they're going to fit all this. There's some videos you can watch, but here's some of the cool things, the upgrades that they've already unlocked. So these are pretty standard box upgrades, card upgrades, inside of the box. They've all been like that, but now they're shaping the wooden pieces, which is nice. Making these special trap tokens, adding 2 minions, 2 additional bosses. But then here, now they're starting to screen print the tokens, screen print the goblin tokens, and how they're shaped specially. So upgrading all the wooden components, which is really nice. And you can see here that they're at 300,000, and just on day 1 we're at almost to 400,000. So there's probably almost already going to be another thing unlocked in this game. And for such a small game, these unlocks make a big difference. Right now, the record for a Tiny Epic game is, I believe, was Pirates, which broke 1 million. I don't think any of the other games broke 1 million. And this one's already will probably be at 500,000 by the end of the day. So it'll be interesting to see if this becomes the most popular Tiny Epic game, small box game from Gameland Games. So anyways, this video has gone on much longer than I expected. So I will let you guys go. But let me see here. Asian Backer already received their 2.0. My friends got theirs last week. Oh, that's cool. Isn't it kind of like Race for the Galaxy, just revamped? I apologize. I have to turn my head to see this. I heard Terraforming Mars sleeves is a bad quality. Well, that's probably something good to keep in mind. Certainly a cheap sleeve is not worth it. I tend to not go in on sleeves that are, made by the company. I back Sleeve Kings on Kickstarter, so I can get decent quality sleeves for a good price. I've never played Race for the Galaxy, so I really can't tell you how it compares. I'm assuming we're talking about the Ares Expedition here. Just from the playthroughs I have seen, it feels like Terraforming Mars, just in a miniaturized portion. Shrunk down, tighter gameplay. How's it going, Indra? Yeah, it looks cool. I apologize, guys. I gotta have to turn my head cockeyed here to see the chat, and so I didn't see all these pop up. But if you have any questions about these specifically, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to them as quickly as I can. If I make additional decisions on, say, Paladins or Zombicide, Undead or Alive, I'll let you guys know on that. But the biggest thing is keep an eye out for some more gameplay of Kingdom Rush Rift in Time with my kind of updated rules coming very soon. So once again, thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, please consider subscribing to the channel.